So there's this guy who's having trouble getting a date, much less sustaining a relationship for long. After a while, he decided to go to a couples therapist, relationship therapist, get some advice. Started explaining the situation to the therapist, and the therapist said, "Wait a second, I think I know what the matter is. You stink." The guy said, "Well, it's not my fault. It's the circus." The therapist says, "What do you mean?" The guy says, "Well, I work for the circus. So what does that make you stink?" "Well, because it's my job to clean up after the elephants, and I can't get the smell off of me." And the therapist says, "Well, then why don't you quit your job?" The guy says, "What? And leave my career in show business?" We all tend to build stories around ourselves and our self-importance and why it's important to defend various parts of who we are and how we are in the world. And I bring up this particular story to relate to the question, a really big question in our culture today, question I face on a regular basis. I'm guessing I'm not the only one. And that question is, how do you have a conversation with a fanatic? In this time in which we live, just say the word medical care. Or say, no, I'm not even going to say the names that cause such debate. Rancor, anger to start flying. And David Brooks, a really well-respected columnist in the New York Times, raised this central question of how do I have a civilized debate with a zealot who will not follow the rules of civilized discussion, who simply wants to scream and be angry? How do I do that and still make a difference in the world? And David Brooks suggested that there are three gifts of the Spirit that you might want to consider giving. And the first is a gift to the fanatic. And the fanatic is whoever it is that's opposed to you and causing you to get mad, right? And it doesn't really matter what side of the political spectrum on, what side of any particular given issue it's on. In this day and age, it's not hard to find somebody who's diametrically opposed to you and wants to talk about it at very high volume and with a great deal of rancor, whether in person or on Facebook or on tweet feed or whatever. I never could understand the idea of having an argument in 140 characters or less. It didn't make no sense to me. But consider the possibility of being generous in spirit enough to want to give a gift to the person who is arguing with you. And that gift is to simply be willing to hear what they say and paraphrase it back to him or her so that she feels heard. Because there is a real deep hunger in our culture particularly to be seen and to be heard. At a time when there are so many of us rushing around at such fast speed and actual face-to-face interaction is so rare, a good number of the people who come out screaming are really simply saying, somebody see me and hear my point of view because I feel lost and abandoned and afraid and overwhelmed by the way this culture is going without me. Will somebody please listen? And so David Brooks' question is, can you simply paraphrase what the person said and say it back to him without needing to argue about it? I hear you say that. If you're doing so, you are not only giving a gift to that other person, you are giving a gift to our civilization, to our culture, to an agreed upon way of acknowledging that we're all in the same boat. Whether we like the other person or not, whether we like the other opinion or not, we are all in the same boat together, in a boat that's increasingly hot as the climate changes, increasingly small as the population grows, increasingly intimate as we are connected by electronic media in which no thought stays private for long? Can we agree that disagreeing with others is no need to hate others? Can we agree just inside ourselves to lower the volume of the discussion by one person for this one moment and give up a need to be right for the sake of being whole? Because what puts a hole, what puts a gap, what puts a wound in the other puts a wound in us all. There is no escaping that fact anymore. And thirdly, by being willing to engage the other, we give a gift to ourselves. Because when we greet anger with anger, we only hurt ourselves. When we greet bitterness with bitterness, we only ruin the taste of our own meal. And finally, the piece that I would add to it from the metaphysical perspective is I recognize that this person who is talking to me now about whatever subject, in whatever circumstance, is not here by accident, but is here as a gift from life to remind me about something about myself that is lacking, that is hurting, that is angry, that is sad, that is too longing to be seen and heard. And that through my willingness to simply listen to the other, simply look at the other, and simply be with the other as gift, as total gift, without needing to figure out what the gift is, or why the gift is, or how the gift could look better, or feel better. Just accept that this situation, this person, even this anger that I'm feeling right now because that is giving me the opportunity to just relax in the face of all the jerkiness in the world. There's not going to stop being jerkiness in the world. But what I can do is lower the volume inside myself. Open space to receive the gift of whatever this moment has to bring. Even if it feels ugly, even if it's coming at me like a car is coming 75 miles an hour, even if I know better than that guy what the truth is, can I simply be with a larger truth and vote for our collective future as a civilization, as a people with a dream? One day, one step, one moment at a time. I don't know what your answer is, but that's my question, and I'm sticking to it.